When we first learn about the cross of Jesus and what it means for us, I think there's one side that we tend to focus on, and that is the forgiveness of sins. In fact, Jesus on the cross says, "Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing." But there's a whole other side of the cross that I think oftentimes gets overlooked that is equally powerful. And it's easy to overlook this other side of the cross, especially if you grew up with a healthy family and you're well adjusted and have a good job, and maybe you live in a developed nation. And that definitely is the situation I was in when I learned about the cross. I knew that I needed forgiveness for my sins. I recognized that I had done things that separated me from God. And to hear the good news that Jesus, even though my sin weighed upon him on the cross, he would extend forgiveness to me was like changed the whole thing for me. So if you're like me, you're already familiar with this idea that Jesus is the forgiver of even his own torturers, that Jesus is the forgiver of the guilty. But when Jesus goes to the cross, in addition to becoming the forgiver of the guilty, he also becomes the brother of the tortured. He becomes the companion of the suffering. Theologian Jurgen Moltmann puts it this way. He says, "The crucified Christ became the brother of the despised, abandoned, and oppressed." And this is why brotherhood with the least of his brethren is a necessary part of brotherhood with Christ and identification with him. Thus, Christian theology must be worked out amongst these people and with them. So when we see this other side of the cross, one of the things that it does is it actually unifies and integrates so much of Jesus' teaching and his ministry. It makes a lot more sense. And one of the things that you see as Jesus ministers throughout his ministry, he's spending time with the poor and the outcast and the oppressed, the people who were on the fringes of society. In fact, you find it come to its culmination in Matthew chapter 25. At the end of a series of parables, he tells the parable of the sheep and the goats. And this is exactly what Moltmann is alluding to in the parable of the sheep and the goats. Jesus says that the way that you treat the least of these, my brothers, that's how you treat me. When Jesus is on the cross, he becomes the brother to the suffering. He becomes the companion to the outcast. He shows that what he said in Matthew 25, he lived on the cross. And this is significant for all of us. It's significant because it means that Jesus forgives our wrongdoings, and when we are wronged, he knows how we feel. The fact that God incarnated himself and experienced probably the worst potential form of suffering there on the cross, we know that we have a God who can identify with abandonment, with pain, with betrayal, with all of the negative human emotions that sometimes feel overwhelming for us. And a lot of times we feel alone in these negative feelings, and we feel like, am I suffering alone? Does anybody see me? And from the cross, we get a clear declaration. We get a clear example that Jesus sees you, he gets you, he understands you, and he is your brother in suffering. It's so common for us as Christians to wear a cross around our necks as a reminder of the fact that we have been forgiven. But one of the things that the cross, I think, can remind us of is that when we see the cross, we know he gets me. When I'm going through pain, because of what he did on the cross, I know he understands me. When I am suffering, when I feel betrayed, when I feel abandoned, when I'm going through a rough patch, I worship and know a God that actually gets what it's like to experience that. God did not remain in an ivory tower, but he put on flesh and blood, and he suffered on the cross to be the brother to the sufferer who forgives the cause of the suffering. And so when you look at the cross around your neck, around someone else's neck, you drive by it, when you see the cross, if you're going through a hard time right now, let that cross be a reminder that he is your brother, that he knows how you feel, and that you are not suffering alone, because he is there with you. When Jesus commissions his disciples, he says, "Surely I am with you always to the very ends of the age." And if Jesus is with you and he gets you and he understands you and he forgives you, that means we have a God that heals us from all angles. And we know that the cross works on our souls, both to forgive us and to be alongside us as we forgive people who have wronged us. remember that you were not alone in your suffering and that Jesus is right there with you.